Hi, my name's Don, and I'm the guy that's trying to be the Sly Strategist. Today, we're going to go ahead and cover bonuses, penalties, and kind of how all this stuff stacks. Now, when we're talking about bonuses, we're generally talking about three different categories. The three categories are circumstance bonuses, item bonuses, and status bonuses. Now, there's a fourth category we're also going to look into, which is fortune and misfortune effects. But as we go ahead and go through this particular guide here, we'll get a little bit more into each and every single one of those and how they might interact. So, the first thing we want to cover as we're going over this is how these particular bonuses would stack. Now, if you have bonuses of different types, like let's say you had a circumstance bonus as well as an item bonus, those two things would stack. If you had a circumstance bonus for raising your shield, as well as an item bonus that gave you AC, then those two particular things would stack. However, if you were carrying a shield that gave you a +1 to AC, as well as armor that gave you a +2 to AC, because they are both item bonuses, they would not stack and you would only take the higher. So you would get the +2 from the armor. The same would work for the circumstance bonus. If you had raise a shield and take cover going at the same time, whatever bonus you got from the take cover would take precedence because it would be higher than the raise a shield would be generally. However, if for some reason you had something that could modify that a little bit, then it could switch either way. But whichever one is the highest is the one that you are going to take. But once again, remember that circumstance bonus, item bonuses, and status bonuses separately will stack. But if they're part of the same category, one of those three, they will not stack. You will only take the highest out of those particular bonuses. Same thing goes with penalties in the other way. You would only take the highest of the penalty if they are from the same category. And as far as fortune and misfortune effects, what we kind of talked about earlier, fortune and misfortune effects, and we'll get to that more towards the end, they generally affect die rolls specifically, as opposed to the player character or ability checks or saving throws. So those wouldn't necessarily fit into this category. Circumstance bonuses are situational bonuses. They're basically based on what is happening at the time or what actions are being taken. They can be improved by feats as you level, but as you're starting out, they're going to be what they are. Generally, they last for one specific round or turn, and certain classes really depend on circumstance bonuses. And when I say certain, I'm kind of meaning one where it's kind of life or death, and that would be the investigator, mainly because of the known weaknesses feat that they get. They kind of live or die by this particular circumstance bonus. But when we're talking about general bonuses that anybody can get, we'll go ahead and cover take cover as well as raise a shield. So we'll go ahead and put those up here. But as you raise a shield, you position your shield obviously to protect yourself. So you're going to raise that up. When you have it, you are going to gain the listed circumstance bonus to your AC because of raising the shield. If your shield isn't raised, you do not get that circumstance bonus. And it is the action that creates a circumstance bonus that is listed on your item sheet. When you do take cover, you are benefiting from cover, depending on the type of cover you have and where you are in the situation. You can get greater cover, which is going to be a +4 circumstance bonus to your AC. You can get regular cover, or standard cover, which is just a +2. There's also lesser cover, which is a +1. But each one of those particular bonuses are a circumstance bonus. Now, there are actions that you can do on your turn that could help, but once again, kind of like we said at the beginning of this particular circumstance bonus section, is they are situational. And an example that every single character can do, regardless of what they are, can do is aid. So aid is you are trying to help one of your allies to use an action that requires a skill check or an attack roll. So when you are doing an aid, you basically give that person a +1 that they can choose to use when they need to use it. Now, when you use aid, you are trying to help your ally with a specific task. You need to explain to the GM what you are trying to do to help assist in this task, and then you can perform it at the appropriate time when the player needs that aid, and you will give them a +1 circumstance bonus. Now, there are various things that you can do. If you get a critical success, it goes up to a +2. If you are a master or legendary in something that you are trying to do, like let's say you're a master or legendary in athletics and the thing you are trying to aid them with requires athletics, then you could possibly go as high as a +3 or +4. But that would be a circumstance bonus because it is a situation that you are trying to help the person overcome. Now, there are some traits that do work into circumstance bonuses as well. Example traits would be backswing, sweep, or forceful. They explicitly state a circumstance bonus, although there is a trait called backstabber that could be argued is a circumstance bonus. But regardless, this is a very specific type of bonus that you can get from a weapon trait. Now, there is a penalty version of circumstance bonuses. And when I say penalty version, I mean negative, not necessarily a penalty. For like a weapon trait, you would have the non-lethal. The non-lethal is you can use a non-lethal to make a lethal attack at a -2 circumstance penalty. So that would be a circumstance penalty as opposed to a circumstance bonus. Another one would be volley. Volley allows you to reach further, but at a circumstance penalty for close range shots of -2. So circumstance bonuses and circumstance penalties. But once again, when you are going between various circumstance penalties, they do not stack. You would only take the highest. I do hope that kind of explains circumstance penalties. They are, like most things, when you're just trying to learn everything, they can get a little bit complicated. So next, we're going to go ahead and go into item bonuses. Item bonuses typically come from something that you're wearing or something that are using, and the bonus can be mundane, such as a finely crafted short sword that gives you a +1, or it can be magical, such as a magic weapon of some sort, or runes. Runes can also add item bonuses to specific things. And there are certain spells that can do temporary bonuses, such as the magic weapon spell would be something that you could do, or there are some alchemical elixirs or oils that can be used to give temporary item bonuses to certain things. Some good examples of runes that you could use would be, and these are the obvious ones, you would have the armor potency, and you would also have a weapon potency. Runes that can be added to items that can give you an item bonus. But once again, if you are using multiple pieces of armor that each have their own bonus, well, then that bonus would not stack. You would only take the highest of those. It is within that particular category of item that you are using. These are probably the most straightforward of all the bonus types that you have. So there's not a whole bunch more to get into with it, but I do hope that helped explain this particular category of bonuses. And the next thing we're going to go into is probably the most common as well as the most complicated of all the bonus categories, which would be the status bonus. Status bonuses are probably the most widely seen type of bonus, as well as kind of the most complex out of all of them. They typically come from spells, magical effects, a feat, or something applying a temporary condition. When you are getting ready to apply a status bonus to anything, really, you basically want to look at what the duration is, what the cast components are. And by components, I mean whether it's a verbal, somatic, material, depending on what type of components are required in order to perform that status. You would need to know the range. It could be touch or it could be long range. Then you would also need to know whether it is a single person, a group of people, or if it's an AoE or area of effect, something along the lines of Bless, which is a 5-foot AoE and every turn you can expand that particular area of effect to include more people and more people of the group. You'll also need to know what the bonus type is and what specifically the bonus applies to. Two of the most common that I want to highlight the fact on how they don't stack would be Bless and Heroism. They're both fairly low level, Bless being a level 1 spell and Heroism being a level 3 spell. So looking at the Bless spell itself it's a divine or occult spell, same thing as the heroism spell. Somatic verbal on both. The Bless is a 5-foot emanation, whereas the heroism is a touch spell on one creature. So that kind of goes into what the group or the single person category could be, as well as the duration. The duration of Bless is 1 minute, and the duration of heroism is 10 minutes. So Bless cannot be heightened, whereas heroism can as you get to 6th or 9th level. Bless gives you a +1 status bonus to attack rolls while you're within that emanation, and heroism also gives you a +1 to attack rolls. So if both of these things are in effect at any specific time, it is whatever has the highest bonus would apply. So if you have Bless at +1 and Heroism at +1, anybody who is affected by both of those would only get a +1. They would not get a +2 because they don't stack. However, if that Bless ran out after 1 minute, well, the Heroism is a 10-minute duration as opposed to a 1-minute duration. So for another 9 minutes, that particular person, since it's a one creature ally type of spell, that person would get a +1 for the extended duration. But once again, they do not stack. Some examples of penalties for statuses. A good one that is the opposite of Bless would be Bane. Bane gives a -1 status penalty to attack rolls. So the bonus / penalty works along the same way. If you were to have another penalty, status penalty come into effect, Sleep is a negative bonus. So if it is a success, they would get a -1 status penalty to Perception, but that is different than an attack roll, so they could coexist. It's just that the stack can't occur on the same effect. There are many, many types of status effects. As we mentioned, they can come from so many different things: spells, magical effects, feats, anything applying a temporary condition upon you. So all the conditions can have their own status effects, but status is kind of almost if you're talking the 80-20 rule of bonuses and penalties, status is going to be the 80. That's going to be the one that you see the most often. Now, we've gone through those 3 types of bonuses / penalties, and the last thing we're going to cover is fortune and misfortune effects. Now, we're going to go ahead and bring up fortune and misfortune effects, but some of the big things I want you to take out of this fortune and misfortune is that there can only be one thing that affects rolls at any given time. So we're going to go ahead and cover the most universal fortune effect, which would be a hero point. And a hero point specifically, and that'll be brought up as well, a hero point specifically is the ability to re-roll if you don't like the results. So if you have a hero point and you would like to take another shot at a roll that you made, you can go ahead and spend a hero point. You cannot double that by using something along the lines of something that comes from an ancestry, which would be Halfling Luck. Halfling Luck is another fortune effect. And when you're looking these things up, you'll see for the traits, there actually is a fortune trait. Another one that a lot of various classes, spells, feats that can give this, it's probably one of the better things in the game if you really want to know, is True Strike. True Strike is a fortune spell that allows you to roll the attack twice and pick the better of the 2 rolls. So a fortune or a misfortune effect is something that directly affects the dice roll, not the check, not the attack, not the thing in general. It's literally affecting the dice rolls themselves. And that would be how you classify a fortune effect versus a status, item, or circumstance effect. So I do hope that kind of helped demystify a little bit of the bonuses and the penalties and how they apply. The big takeaways are that there are three main categories. One effect that is fortune or misfortune. And then just keep in mind that although it might seem great to give your champion of your party 9 different bonuses at one given time, it's only the highest that is going to stick. So keep that in mind. If you've given someone guidance and someone tries to give him bless, and then someone tries to give him heroism, and someone tries to give him something else, they don't stack. So use your actions wisely. Teamwork is always encouraged. And therefore, as opposed to trying to work on that one player, you can spread things out so everybody gets a good chance of doing stuff, as well as saving some actions to do other things like intimidate or disarm or trip or shove or some of the other actions that you can do. So we're going to go ahead and kind of close out on the bonuses/penalties section. And I do hope you found this useful. And I do hope you got something out of it. You hear this all the time, and I'll probably say it more often than not. But if you did get something out of it and you'd like to get more, go ahead and like and subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment if there's something that you'd like to cover or something that you have a question about, and I'll see if I can't answer it either in the comment, or if it's a larger category, I'll go ahead and make a video on it. If there's any corrections, feel free to leave those as well. But with that, I hope you have a great day and happy adventuring. Thanks.